I don't know if you have seen the flyer. Tradition, cultures, also I put it versus Islam. It's like, to look or to see the what is called the cultures and traditions from Islamic perspective. Especially like we live here in America, where there's a lot of different cultures, and we don't really consider that we have a certain culture when it comes to how we deal with each other, especially when it comes sometimes to marriage, sometimes funeral. I had the form, I sent it out. Some of them, they mentioned about the adat at taqarid of their families, like the cultures, whether they are aligned with or they are complying sharia or not. uh, but inshallah, let's see if you can, inshallah, share with me some of the cultures um, during the class. So it has to be like, inshallah, like interactive session. Uh, it's open for your, suggestions, and if you have anything, you can add it. Uh, the reason why I'm saying this is that uh, we need to balance between the goal of this lecture is to balance between cultures and Islam. Are they always aligned? No, they're not always aligned. And are we obligated to adhere to the culture? Yes, sometimes, yes. So this is the thing. Like the culture and the traditions, or what they call it, al-a'raf, al-urf, is one of the sources of Shari'ah's ruling. In Islam, when we get the ruling of something, we get them from the Quran, Sunnah, what else? Ijma', the consensus, qiyas, qiyas is like analogy. Like sometimes, for example, uh, let's say Allah prohibited, the alcohol because it, caused someone to be intoxicated, right? So let's say the heroin or weed, if they do the same thing to the brain, then they will take the same ruling, even though Allah specifically didn't say this is or included in the haram, included in the Quran. So this is the fourth, source of ruling in Islam: Quran, Sunnah, Ijma', Qiyas. Ijma' means consensus. Qiyas means the analogy, and the fifth one is actually al-urf. Al-urf, customs, is one of the sources that we're supposed to adhere, if they don't conflict with the Sharia. Uh, and this is where every certain community, they have their own customs, and customs is part of the religion. Like, it goes into marriage, for example. It goes into transactions, and usually, like, it goes into like, yani, a lot of is part of our life. Islam didn't come to neglect the customs of the people. If the customs or the a'raf, what people are doing, align with Sharia, Islam came and approved it. If the customs are against Sharia and they're not aligned with Sharia, then the Islam comes and to stop it. And this shows, subhanallah, like the beauty of Islam. So Islam, came to regulate and to manage people's life in a way that it will not cause any burden to them. It's very difficult to take people away from what they are, used to. So, this is like brings us to differentiate between something we call it in Islam ibadat and something we call them adat. Ibadat and adat. Ibadat is the worship, which means that what Allah commands us to do and what Allah prohibits us from doing. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked us or commanded us to do something or prohibit us from doing something, this is considered as a ibadah, something to worship Allah Azza wa Jal through. The adat is coming from the verb ada. Ada means he returned. Ada, he returned. Say, it's like, ada ila al-masjid, he came back to the masjid. And the adat is derived, the habits or the traditions or the cultures is derived from this verb because people are used to do it once after another. Once after another. Um, so, um, يعني because of where we live and because of the the variety of cultures and different communities, people from Pakistan, people from Saudi Arabia, people from they were born and raised here, and uh, if we don't have a good understanding to how to regulate, how to manage, and how to deal with the differences of the this a'raf, uh, it will cause a lot of conflict. It will cause a lot of dispute among Muslims. I asked on the Google form if they have any customs, any a'raf, any things, traditions that they know among their families, if they have any doubts about it. And some of them they answered. Uh, uh, if I ask you now, do you any one of you would like to share a custom or a tradition that you think probably is it Islamic or not Islamic? Uh, we have also new Muslims here as well. It's important for you to understand what is the cultures and customs. Islam does not interfere to regulate people's cultures. It doesn't come interfere to change their culture. Like if you become a Muslim, you don't need to change the culture. You don't need to change family culture, unless if these cultures are what against the Islamic culture. Think that they're not going aligned with Islam. Uh, طيب, anyone wants to share anything about any culture? Anyone? Good. This is a very great example. Like Thanksgiving is coming, and if a family, for example, they have a culture, or let's say the Muslim American here, they have culture where they gather and they celebrate or they have like a dinner or something like that. Is this like say haram, prohibited to do it, or is it permissible to do that? Uh, what do you think, guys? Is it haram or is it halal? Haram? Halal? Haram? It's halal. Haram? Haram? See, the Thanksgiving dinner, having turkey and eating. Hey, don't say haram. There's something from eating turkey now. Like, I can. So here, cultures. Here, the culture, right? If you ask me this question back in Lebanon, or you ask the question like where Muslim families in Egypt or in Syria, in Thanksgiving they have a dinner, we might say it is haram for them. Why? Because this is not part of their culture. All right, something they don't do. They're not. They don't know actually what is Thanksgiving. So they are imitating other cultures that it's not part of them. But when we look at it here in America, let's say Muslim Americans or even like the Americans, inshallah, we'll go through this. Is this something religious? Is it something related to religion? It's not part of religion. So that's why whenever things are not part of religion and it's cultural things, celebrations, thing that is not adhered to religion, then Islam doesn't stop you from doing it. So Thanksgiving, because it's not religious celebration, so I don't see any prohibition to say it is haram for Muslim family live in America or American Muslims to gather and have the dinner. Halloween is different. Yeah, I didn't say Halloween, huh? No, there is no halal queen. There's no Halloween. No, Halloween. The source of Halloween is religious. is satanic, source. It's everything in Halloween refers to represents, devil, and it has a back, history. Pumpkin and the lights and everything you represent ghosts, and they believe in Halloween that the ending of summer, beginning of autumn. They believe that the let's say the barrier between spirits and people became thin. That is why the spirit and souls can penetrate to our lives. So they used to put some scary stuff outside of their houses to scare off the spirits and the ghosts. Yeah, so it's a lot of history behind it. That is why it's haram. So anything religious goes against our Sharia, our Islam. Then here, the custom will not be recognized Islamically. So let's get you a few inshallah. Uh, uh, يعني a few things is related to the urf, to the customs, and then inshallah from there we can get different examples inshallah, and we could look at it if whether we can have sometimes when you go to the examples we might answer one example, two examples, but when you get more to know the general ruling, and then you can apply from there on the other examples. We have two questions here, one here and then uh, the gathering, it maybe like you can say controversial, for example, to say it is like no one is celebrating like the genocide, no one is looking at it as a on that. Yeah, but is it really like people when they celebrate it or when they are gathered, like family gathering, they eat, they let's say revive this memorial? If you look at it, by the way, like it's not a religious, that's it. But if it's, let's say, really inherited, like from causing oppression and people really that they bring up this memory, uh, then yes, for sure. Like, but when things like the source of it started, like say something similar to what you've said, but people are unaware of this. They're not. They don't know anything about it, and it's become only cultural thing that there's no rites, there's no ritual, there's no practices that they're doing. Only, let's say, eat and gathering. So I'm saying that it's more, there's flexibility in that. It's different than let's say Halloween is different than Christmas Eve, for example. Is different than anything that is actually basically is religious matter. But you might find some يعني, a scholar that they prohibited this gathering. But I think like from one place to another, one culture to another, it's a different issue. Like we cannot uh, let's say, use the fatwa, let's say the ruling of scholars who they live, let's say in Saudi, in that place, or in Lebanon, in that place that they don't have any idea about, Thanksgiving, and for them is imitating the non-Muslims. This is how they look at it, like to say it is prohibited from that source. So usually this is the main purpose of that lecture is like cultures are different from one place to another place. What is known here, it has to be adhered to that place. What is other place, is different. I'll give you an example. Uh, like wearing suit with a tie. Is it permissible? Permissible. Imagine now, let's say we are going to a culture where all the people in that place, they don't know the suit and the tie. All of them, they wear, let's say, this kind of thobe. No one knows, and that dress, to wear a tie and suit represent other culture, or bring fame. For that particular culture, is it halal now for that person to wear that cloth? It becomes prohibited because he brings fame, or he might be imitation of non, let's say, for that. That's why when you read the Islamic answers or the fatwa of the scholars, in certain time they used to consider that wearing suit and tie is haram. But now, because it's spread and everyone, it's not anymore something that other culture they were. You will see that no, now they, if you go back to the source of what is called the fatwa, if you ask now in Saudi or if you ask in other Muslim places, is it permissible to wear suit and tie? They tell you yes, it is. Yeah, yeah. So you're right. You're right in one part. No, so طيب. Yeah, we're not talking Halloween. We mentioned about Halloween. So I will mention one thing. Yes. Okay. Jazakallah khair. So we need to know one important thing. Sharia is flexible. Sharia is flexible. There is some certain ruling in Islam, not they are not changeable. They're not changed. And there are certain type of ruling in Islam that are changeable in accordance to the urf, in accordance to the customs. So the changeable, if there is any ruling based on the urf, based on the customs, if this custom and the tradition is not there anymore, people they don't recognize it anymore, then it becomes unrecognized. So Sharia, it has two ways of rulings. I'll give you an example. At the beginning of Islam, and I'll just give some example. At the beginning of Islam, it was prohibited to take a lost camel. If you find a camel lost, it was prohibited to carry it and take it, to a place. You're supposed to leave it wandering because the owner will find it. And then when the Islamic, let's say, area expanded, and when the people are not righteous as they used to be during the time of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, and used to start having a lot of thieves, a lot of people they are stealing. Uthman radiallahu anh stopped that, and he said, whenever you find any camel, it will be taken and will be put in a place where this is the lost camels, and the owners will come. So yes, there are some certain clothes, for example, used to be haram for certain places, certain customs, and then they became halal. And like if you go back to the fatwa, you say pants, wearing pants, you will find a lot of fatwa. They say haram to wear pants for both men or women. It's haram, and it's considered like it's considered like imitating other cultures. It wasn't known at that customs. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, خذ الأمر خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف. خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف, which means خذ العفو is like pardon, take the forgiveness, forgive people. وأمر, and command العرف in accordance to what? Customs. That is why Islam. Regardless, now people are used to do that, and a lot of Muslim families, they gather. A lot of American Muslims, let's say, they they embrace their Islam. For example, they became no Muslims, and their family are gathered. Don't look at it as, let's say, only from Muslim wise, like say born Muslim. Like no, they used to have this gathering on every year. All the family, all the relative comes, they join, they talk. That is why you cannot say for them this is something imported. It's part of their culture, part of their customs. If one family they're not used to do that, then we say don't do it. But is it from يعني sin or prohibited? Wallahu ta'ala alam. It doesn't look to me that it is prohibited because it's not a religious matter. Again, the intention always, whatever you're doing, it might consider like something haram or halal. Uh, so if the intention to imitate non-Muslims, for example, it's haram for sure, for sure. But we're talking about like, yeah, like for example, as I mentioned, if you talk about Thanksgiving in other than America, people don't know about it. Like me, I was born in Lebanon. I lived there. You tell me Thanksgiving, I don't know what is Thanksgiving. We'll never celebrate Thanksgiving, and if we do it, we will be like imitating other cultures. Haram for us. Even now I don't do it because not part of our family culture. We're talking about the culture where people born, lived here, and they have this habit where they are gathering during that day without the intention of they are not imitating. This is part of how they were raised and born and they grew up and here. It's the same. It's the same. So this is the thing. Yeah, it's a, mm. uh, okay. Okay, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. But just to mention one thing, like uh, we're talking about customs that they not have any religious sources origin. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he said one thing here. Look, he said, العادات التي لا تخالف الشرع معتبرة. يعني the customs that they don't go against the Sharia معتبرة, which means are recognized. بل هي من الأمور التي بنيت عليها أحكام كثيرة في الفقه الإسلامي. Like العادات is among the issues, matters that a lot of Islamic rulings were built on that. Uh, so inshallah we will go through يعني this is the general what they call it al-ulama maxim. Like juristic maxims is one of the juristic maxims like قواعد فقهية is العادة محكمة. العادة محكمة. I'll give you an example. Like you marry someone here and you said the dowry is gonna be, let's say, $10,000. So he gave 10,000 Canadian dollar. Who's marrying here in America, but he say, you said dollar, this is Canadian dollar. So Islamically say no, it's rejected because al-ada muhakkama, yani the urf, what is known among the people in this community is what actually will take, it's like the authority will go back to where you live. That is why most of the thing that I want to have through this, like whenever because here, as I mentioned, we are coming from different places, different customs, different communities. Always you have to clarify and make clear the customs when it comes to marriage, when it's come to dowry, when it's come to for example, I'll give you an example. Uh, in some cultures, the let's say uh, uh, يعني the engagement, celebration, for example, is like paid or يعني covered by the bride family. Some of the cultures. Other culture, they say no, like, every all of the expenses are, covered by the groom and his family. So these things, it has to be, addressed from the beginning. So this is our culture. This is the customs. What are your customs? If you have differences, like say, he said, no, in our culture, the bride family will cover this. Here, when we have, differences, what will we do? We go to the Quran, because here in America we don't have what is called, like, a common or an agreed culture, because a lot of us, let's say, coming from first generation, second generation, so we don't have, a ada or something that we have agreed upon. Is it clear? Uh, some of the so if the custom or the culture go doesn't align with Sharia, it has to be rejected. It has to be rejected, and we cannot accept, the, let's say, the mukhalafat al-shar'iyya, or the thing that goes against Sharia, because we say this is the family cultures. In the form, a lot of people, they mentioned about weddings. Like, weddings is one of the things, like, we say in our weddings, it's mixed wedding, for example. Men and women are together, and a lot of time, the women are wearing very exposing, clothes, and there is music and there is dancing. So is this acceptable from Sharia wise? No, like these things, it's not acceptable. And we cannot say, wallahi, because of the custom. We have to regulate. We have to, at least, Sharia came to either stop the mafsada, and to stop the mafsada, which means, to not have this evil thing to take place, to stop it. If it's already will take a place, to lessen that damage, the harm. Is it clear? Yani, if, let's say, a family, someone says, wallahi, I can't stop that wedding to be, in one hall, mathalan, and the mixing that is happening, I can't do anything for that. So I try to lessen that harm. Try to, for example, send, through the invitation, please wear proper, mathalan, clothes, or try to lessen the time. Yani, you have to try your best to not go with, what is like totally against Sharia. And if you cannot do that, probably you don't have to be involved. You can just, pass by and congratulate the bride and the groom and leave. You don't go into dancing, and you go into all of this, like it goes against the Sharia, especially when there's a lot of, harm. uh, is it clear, inshallah? So sometimes there's customs that people are doing that it goes against Sharia. So we have to, stop these things, or lessen, to make it less the harm, less. There's also some cultures, it also is related to marriage, where, for example, uh, the parents force, the daughter to marry someone because of they are coming from the same background or the same race. And Islamically, this custom is actually against Sharia. And I don't know if you know that the father cannot force his daughter to marry someone that she doesn't want to. And if this happened, she has the right to go to the judge and to dissolve the marriage. One woman came to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she told him, Ya Rasulullah, I was forced to marry that person, and I don't want him. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam separated between them. So this is one of the things. And also one of the really, like, yani, sad things that I see, I've witnessed some of them, is that sometimes a righteous person proposed to one girl, he's righteous, he has all of the requirement, to be a let's say accepted candidate for marriage or for proposal, but he's refused because of the nationality or because of his let's say race, ethnicity. So and the girl actually wants him. She really wants to marry him, and the parents stand between both of them, even though let's say that person is righteous and pious, and they have no, let's say, a reason to refuse him just because it's not, speaking the same language and or things like that. So also in Sharia, Islam gives also the girls as well the right to go to the judge if her parents are stopping her from marrying while she needs to get married because of like things are not legitimate, things are not Islamically accepted. So this is one of another thing that we're seeing in our culture. Another thing, like, yes, the judge will investigate. So you will see in Islamic fiqh books, the judge will investigate. He will see the reasons of the father why you're not letting her marry that person. If they are legitimate, wallahi, yes, there is, Islamic reason for not doing so. Then the judge will not do that. If there's no reason and you find that he's stopping her from marrying that person, this is what we call in Islam al-adlu. Al-adl وَلَا تَعْضُلُوهُنَّ. Al-adl is that when the guardian or when the representative or when the wali stops the girl from marrying someone she wants without any valid Islamic reason. So these cultures are founded. Sometimes the opposite, sometimes divorce. Like sometimes, let's say, a woman is married to someone among the community, the customs that for them asking for divorce is a shame, and she has been tortured, and she's going to a lot of pain through that marriage. Maybe he's not a righteous man, maybe he's not praying, maybe he's cheating on her, and then she can't go to tell her parents, I want to ask for divorce, because they consider this as a shame. This also against Sharia. This is not the custom that Sharia will approve. uh, Another thing, sometimes some of the customs that we see in our modern life when it's come to the engagement. So overall, as we mentioned, that uh, customs in Islam are recognized, and we have to stick and adhere to the custom as long as they are not contradict the Sharia. So any customs that contradict Sharia will be rejected. One thing. And the customs that are recognized in Islam, they have to be common and known. And you cannot have like very a private custom and say this is our customs, like, and this is what we are dealing with, and you want to force someone else to adhere to. Uh, so it has to be known, it has to be spread among the community, and the people are agreeing on doing that. Yes. Here it's not okay. They're not okay, and it will never be okay. Any customs that establish are not aligning with Islam, they're not acceptable, even if they are spread among the community. Like, Lut alayhi salam, the custom was there that the men and are attracted to men. So the gay marriage was spread and accepted by the community. And even when he came to them and tell them this is not right, they consider him going against their customs. It's the opposite. So even if the evil spread, and this is what the people are agreeing upon, it will not make it halal. Like, I'll give you now the customs and the traditions among here, a lot of Muslims, that interest is acceptable and riba is acceptable, right? Will this make it halal? No. And a lot of people, they justify dealing with interest and riba. They say, yeah, Sheikh, we live in America. We live in America. Everyone. No, it's not. So riba is among the thing that is not changeable. This is fixed, will never be halal. But if the ruling in Islam is based on customs, let's say the amount of dowry, how you pay the dowry. Some culture they have like you pay something in advance and you defer the dowry, the second payment. Islam leaves it like that. It's fine. It's fine. However, the people are accepted. I will give you an example. Let's say someone married a girl here. To say the amount of dowry is not, let's say, a condition for a valid marriage contract to say the amount. But the dowry itself is actually part of the pillars of the marriage. So you have to have a dowry. So if someone proposed to the father, I want to marry your daughter, and we have two male Muslim witnesses, and the girl accepted the marriage, and then the father said, okay, khalas, I will let you marry my daughter. So the proposal and the proof is there, and then they have the witnesses. So the marriage contract completed the pillars of that marriage contract. But they didn't say the amount of dowry. And then after that, they said, what is the dowry? And I says, I will give $50. You didn't name it. You didn't say. So what will you do in this scenario? He has to accept it. $50. He already married the. Huh? Huh? الزواج يراد. It is valid marriage. Yes. It is valid. Huh? Whatever the guys want to pay. The lady. So here where the customs comes. The urf. We say, we say, we will look at what is the average of dowry that people usually pay. So we look at different Islamic centers and we find that, say, the average is $5,000, $10,000, for example. Say, okay, we'll take the median, let's say 1,500. So you have to pay that in accordance to, the customs. If the custom is $100,000, this is where everyone pays, like everyone getting married. This is what they already expecting. We tell him you have to pay $100,000 by Shari'ah, and you have to pay it, and you should not, this is a debt on you. So and you cannot say, Wallahi, I'm in Lebanon, we pay this amount of money. I said, Habibi, no, you're not. You're not in Lebanon here. If you want to follow Qasr, go in Lebanon and marry someone in Lebanon. So here you can see the beauty of Sharia that comes to recognize the custom, the known custom among the community. Yeah, so if anything, let's say, I'll give you an example. In some cultures, even in transactions, like you go back to Middle Eastern countries, when you buy something, usually you pay the amount of money. Let's say I bought a furniture or for example, a cabinet or something. Okay, the custom is that after I pay the amount of money, usually delivery and assembly is part of the, payment. So I don't have to tell him, will you deliver it or will you assemble my cabinet? It's already by default. So they will bring it, and they deliver to you, and they will assemble that, and he will not have any extra charge. So if you are going against the customs, you have to make it clear. You have to make it clear. Let's say you are marrying someone in some countries, Middle Eastern countries, for example, that the customs there that the husband will provide a maid for his wife. Everyone who marry, they have a maid in the house. This is the customs. And like if you are marrying and you have the intention not to provide, you have to tell your wife in advance when you are proposing. You tell them, I know this is how it goes, this is the customs, but I'm not able to provide a maid. So you have to make it clear from the beginning. If you go against, what is known. Is it clear, inshallah? He has to. He has to. It's become then it might, if they refuse, they can bring it up to the judge. He can dissolve the, the marriage contract between them. Yeah, if she's not accepting that. If not, so customs is like, as I said, is something, if it's not against Sharia, it is recognized. But whatever things are people agreed on to do which is haram, it will not make it halal. All right, any haram things, even if everyone agreed to do it, it will not make it halal. Look, for example, I'll tell you in Lebanon, for example, that when two people are engaged, they usually extend, the engagement period. Sometimes 1 year, 2 years. Yes, until they get married. And during this period, they go out, they hang out, they hold hands, and then when they have the engagement, a party, he took the ring and also he put it in her finger. He put the ring and she put the ring to him. This is all haram. It will never be halal, even if all the people are agreeing on that, because you know touching the other gender is haram. And Islam made the engagement like a way to show your intention and to see that girl, and you'll say, okay, I want, and she sees him as well. If there is approval, they said, I want to engage, and then they will agree about the terms and conditions, and she will be preserved for that person until they get married. This is the engagement. Engagement will never let a marital relationship, hanging out, and sometimes a lot of things like are taking place. But sometimes, let's say, in our modern time, unfortunately, like there is, it's not like before anymore. Before, the marriage used to take a few days and then it's done. Now, premarital counseling sessions, sometimes they might sit together in a proper a public place. They don't have any khalwa, just to discuss a few things about marriage. Are different, because unfortunately, like before that, the father is used to be the one who's looking for a husband to his daughter or to his sister, and he used to go around, and if he finds someone is, let's say, a good person, he will tell him, I have my daughter, if you want to marry her. And this is Umar ibn Khattab. He did this with his daughter Hafsa, and he went to Uthman said, no, I'm not interested. He went to Abu Bakr said, I'm not interested. He was sad. And then the Prophet ﷺ married Hafsa. And then Abu Bakr went to Umar. He said, I know you were sad because I didn't, accept your daughter, but because I heard the Prophet ﷺ is mentioning your daughter, Hafsa. And I didn't want to, reveal the secret of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So I refused, because I know that the Prophet will marry her. So this was one of the customs. Like the father, a brother, is the one who's supposed to look for a husband to his daughter, to his sister. But unfortunately, now they consider as aib. Aib. A lot of fathers, like, they feel shy, to propose. Hey, my daughter is that cheap. I don't want to do this. And the consequences is, the sisters, are struggling. Like, they force the girls to look for husband by themselves, and subhanallah, opposite. I once it is the opposite. Once I was in a country. I don't want to reveal where this country, but someone came to me and he said, I'm interested in this girl. I said, I know her father. Go, let's arrange a meeting and talk to the father. And we went to the father. The father was surprised. He said, why are you coming to me? I don't know what to do. This is first time, so he find, like, going to the father to match between them is something not of the custom. Like, he said, this is not what we used to. Anyways, yeah, if no, it's not against Sharia. It's not, unless, if, let's say, like, the woman to show her interest to through, let's say, respected way to the to the man, or the opposite, the man shows his interest. Now it's more likely to be accepted, as long as there is no اختلاط, there is no like dating, and there is no. Mm. The male, they go and this is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. Uh, but as I said, like Sharia comes to either stop the harm or to less, to make the harm less. So if because now there's no parents, there are no fathers, no brothers are looking for marriage. That's why we had to create something like sometimes singles event. We try to regulate it in a way that Jazakallah khair. We regulate it in a way that it doesn't go along with against with Sharia. We try to minimize the harm in a way that they can get married, and we have like some help to make it happen. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah, he wanted the guy to talk to his daughter directly, because the father said, I don't know if she's you know in relationship with someone, and the Muslim. No, I didn't want. No, I don't want to mention now, but it's but it's something that I've seen. Personally witnessed. One of the cultures is Indian, I think, and also in Sri Lanka. The dowry is paid by who? The the girl, uh, the family, and this is against Islam. It's against Islam, and it's supposed not to be taken, advantage out of it. It's haram. It's haram, like to force the family. So the poor, ladies usually they don't get married easily. Uh, yes. So it is part of honoring, the woman. It's not like, financial transaction. It's part as a gift. We assume that when someone is getting married, she wants to buy stuff to herself. She wants to be prepared for marriage. So it's like a way to, show seriousness in that regard. She has the right, let's say, to ask for any amount of, money, but it is not. In Islam acceptable to say, I'm gifting myself to you without anything in return. Let's say any amount of money. But if, let's say, they agreed on $1,000, for example, and then after they got married, she said, I don't want them. It's fine. This is up to her. This is her, right, and this money will go to the bride, not to the father. Uh, I've witnessed some parents that the father is actually saying the dowry is supposed to come to me, not to my daughter, and this is against Sharia. So even if we have a customs or tradition where the father is the one who's taking the dowry, then it will not be accepted from Islamic perspective. I just also want to so we talk about haram, like interaction in that custom. If there's any haram, it will not make it halal. If there is any customs or culture that people are agreeing upon that it's not goes against Sharia, that it doesn't have haram mixing, it doesn't have, let's say, gender issues, it doesn't have oppression, that it goes. Then we said that Islam will recognize this custom, and it will sometimes be binding upon the two parties if they are in the state of, let's say, dispute. uh, there must be a dowry. There must be a dowry. So they can put any amount of, let's say, $100, whatever. But they have to be, a dowry to be given. It doesn't have to be put in certificate, like to be. He doesn't have to pay. If you say let's say I forgive you with my dowry, then it's fine. He doesn't have to pay. Yes, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, correct marriage. But they were supposed not to. Yeah, they have to be a dowry. Like the dowry is part of the marriage contract. It must be there. Yeah, like she because like there's something is called like gifting herself without dowry. It's not acceptable. So there must be a dowry, and and the man cannot condition have a condition, say I will marry you if you drop off your dowry. It's not Islamic, and it's not be acceptable condition. So there must be a dowry, and as I said, any amount of money, and she can, if she doesn't want it, she can let's say I don't want it. You can, after they get married, say it's her right, give it back to him, whatever, and they agreed upon, then it's fine. It could be even like the ring. I'll give you an example. Once uh, one woman proposed herself to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, "Ya Rasulullah, marry me." And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "I'm not interested." And then someone from the campaign said, "Ya Rasulullah, I'll marry her." So he wants to take it quickly. So he said, "What do you have to give her?" He said, "Allah, I'm poor. I don't have nothing." He said, "You have at least, khatam and hadid, like even like ring, it's not gold or silver, like hadid, like very cheap." He said, "I have nothing." And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "What do you memorize from the Quran?" And he says, "I memorized this surah and this surah and this surah." And then the Prophet ﷺ says, "I will let you marry her to teach her what you have memorized." So her dowry was, like you can say, a surah in the Quran, or ujra, يعني, to teach her this ayat. It's not the surah, to teach. So the effort is, this is like, if you want to hire a teacher, you'll pay him. And this is one of the يعني, evidence to say. It could be different. It could be different. So here, customs plays a critical role when it comes to either you want to pay in advance or to delay. Uh, so some cultures and some customs are based on bid'ah. You know what I mean, bid'ah? Innovation in Islam. Bid'ah means something invented in Shari'ah. It wasn't actually existed during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, nor the Sahaba, the companions, and they're doing it with the intention of worshiping Allah. All right. Let's say I'll give you an example. If people, like say in Egypt, after we have Egyptian here, what do you do after Jumu'ah usually? What the meal you eat usually? People eat after Jumu'ah. What they eat usually? No, fish. Fish, usually good. Fish is very common. Seafood, like fish. Usually they finish their prayer, and they go get fish. Yeah, I used to be in Medina, so I took this culture from them. After Salah, right away we go to the fish market and we buy fish. So so is this haram? We say no, it's not haram. Even if they are doing it on Friday, it's fine. But if that customs has the intention of worshiping Allah, let's say we are eating fish on Friday because it gives us reward, takes us closer to Allah. Now it becomes something we call it innovation in Islam. So these types of customs are rejected, will not be accepted. I will give an example in funerals. You know, it is permissible, like a lot of customs now, and during the funeral, that they have one place where people are gathered and they show their condolences to the family, where the family of the deceased, they sit in certain place, and then people come and say salam to them, and they show their condolences. Is this halal or haram? A lot of ulama, they say it's fine. even this part wasn't actually existed during the time of the Prophet, but because now people are scattered, there's no big houses, there's no place where people will gather, they say it's fine. But there's some customs, for example, that when someone passed away, they gather, and let's say they say we need to say 1,000 times. We recite the Fatiha 1,000 times, and then every time everyone will say, "I have recited the Fatiha 100," and another one 100, and they count, they collect all of this. This is Yeah, yeah, I will mention this. So having a specific number of surahs to be recited, it's innovation. Anything related, like you are doing specific things, or a specific worship on a specific day, in a specific method and a specific way that the Prophet didn't do it, or the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet, didn't do it, then this will be considered as innovation, and these customs will not be accepted. Reading the whole Quran is different Reading the whole Quran, so there is one thing, it's like gifting the recitation of what you're reading to the deceased. There is khilaf, there is difference of opinions among the ulama. They're saying, is it permissible to recite the Quran and gift this recitation to the deceased? Ibn Taymiyyah and other scholars like Ibn Uthaymeen, they say it's fine. It's fine. Like, to recite, same as make dua, and you give this dua to this, or you're giving charity on his behalf, or doing Hajj, performing Hajj on the behalf of deceased. So I think reciting the Quran is might be, there's flexibility, Allahu A'lam, because they are reciting the Quran. But let's say, believing that we need to recite the entire Quran 5 times, now there's a specific number, then this is innovation. So you're not supposed not to do. Sometimes they give subha, the subha that they have beads. So they give it to each people, and they say, do 1,000 times and send us how many times did you. When it comes to the numbering or something like that, is innovation. So these types of customs are not accepted. uh, like to have extravagance in the funeral gatherings. Some people, they pay a lot of money, and it's become like showing off. This is unacceptable. Customs. Uh, let's say some families, they have the customs of, they have extra food. It's like, if you have 10 people, they put food for 20 or 30 people. And usually in weddings, they think we have to bring a lot of food. If this food, it becomes a source of showing off or extravagance, and we know that this food will be thrown away, so this type of customs will be prohibited in Sharia. But if they say this is a type of generosity, showing generosity, it's not a part of extravagance, or let's say showing off. It's okay if they manage, let's say, the food after the gathering, they pack them and they give it to needy people. It's fine. And Ibrahim, alayhi salam, when the angels came to his house, the ayah وَجَاءَ بِعِجْلٍ حَنِيذ, and another ayah samin. Samin, not thamin, huh? Thamin is expensive or precious. Samin is fat. So he brought a fat, sheep to them. It shows like he provided for them food more than what they are. It's like a kind of showing generosity. Some cultures, if he invites you alone by yourself, one or two people, he will put the entire lamb to you. It's not considered part of, let's say, it's for them, it's a part of showing generosity. Or he wants to kill you. Eat. Yeah. The mom do what? Ah, yeah, this is like a tradition or customs that it has some beliefs. Uh, yeah. So, the bones are the food of our brothers, of the jinn brothers, the jinns. Uh, that is why when you throw the bones, you say Bismillah, so the jinns will eat from it. This is authentic. So, your mom, she's scared of letting the jinns inside the house and looking with the trash. So, no, this is not. Some people, they have also uh, some tradition customs, like when they cut their nails they bury them. It's not acceptable tradition. Or the hair, they bury it, also it's not. Or some of them, if your shoes is flipped upside down, say, hey, what are you doing, close it because you are facing the heaven. Also, it's not a correct tradition. Some customs, don't leave the sajjada unfold. You have to fold it, like, because the shaitan will pray on it. If the shaitan will pray, alhamdulillah, let him. Yeah, like this types of uh, or some culture, like this is anything bring like bad luck, or the custom that they think of what's called al-tatayyur, omen, bad omen or tasha'um. It's actually not accepted. Some of them, like in our country, some of the customs, if like they see shoes over another shoes, they think what. Yeah, I see someone is traveling. It's like these type of things are not accepted. But anything goes along and align with Sharia to bring unity, to bring harmony between Muslims, or the neighbors, showing condolences, for example, to be gathered in a place. It, alhamdulillah, is part of the goals of Sharia, as long as we don't innovate, acts of worship that the Prophet didn't do it. Uh, no, actually, it is hadith. Like if you yawn while you pray, you try your best not to yawn. Not to yawn. Yeah, it is. No, it has, but it's not. Yeah, it has. Huh? Yeah. So if you oversleep on Fajr, in accordance to the hadith, that the shaitan peed in your ear. Yeah. Yeah. And let's say saying Bismillah when you enter the house is culture and also religious, and this is authentic. So yes, yeah, this is one of the things that I want to share with you, is that we need to be and have like some of the points, like we need to be let's say, educated from Islamic perspective to know what is the cultures, what are the customs, and then you go to the Quran, is it valid or not? But overall, if anything related to Aqidah, related to like Christmas, Halloween, anything that it has religious sources is not acceptable Islamically. Anything is not related to Islam or religious issues that people is collect and brings harmony between people, then it's fine. Celebrating personal, uh, uh, let's say personal achievement, like you graduated, you got a degree, anniversaries, for example. If someone celebrates his anniversary with his wife, marriage, for example, birthdays, I also find flexibility, but like when we say, yani birthdays, is because it's not a religious matter. It become more, let's say, no one will say I'm worshiping Allah by celebrating birthday. But when you say this, it doesn't mean like extravagance, music and dancing and exposing. Prophet birthdays, prophet birthday, because people, they believe that they are worshiping Allah through that birthday. So whenever you have the intention of worshiping Allah, like the Prophet birthday, this is where there is, argument. Like, did the Prophet did it, do it or not? The Prophet didn't do it. That's why they say it is not, permissible to have the Mawlid, or the birthday. لعن الله قوما كثرة العيد. I'm not aware of this hadith. I'm not aware of this. But al-Eid, like we're talking about communal, like communal a'yad, communal festival that they are like the communal they doing it with the intention of religious, Eid that return once after another. But I'm not aware of this hadith. I'm not aware of that. Ahsant, yes. So there is hadith if you oversleep for Fajr, on Fajr, that the Prophet ﷺ says, فَذَاكَ شَيْطَانٌ بَالَ فِي أُذُنِهِ. Like the shaitan peed in that person's ear, so he didn't let him hear the adhan, or he let him, oversleep the salah. Uh, like when you want to wake up for Fajr, you establish a war against the shaitan. You open your eyes and say, "Oh, okay, okay, take care, take it easy. There's more time," and sunrise. There's 10, 15 minutes for sunrise, and he keeps, telling you until you oversleep. So this is a hadith. This is like unseen, but the Prophet ﷺ told us about it. Like the Prophet told us as well that if you don't say Bismillah while you are eating, the shaitan will join this meal. Also, the shaitan, the Prophet mentions that when you enter your house, the shaitan and his company are awaiting outside your house. So if you say Bismillah, the shaitan will tell his company, Khalas, let's find another place. We don't have a place to come in and sleep over. If you don't say Bismillah, the shaitan invite his company, say, Yalla, let's go inside. We find a place to sleep over. Huh? In regards just to the blue eye, a blue eye is something related to aqidah, and it is prohibited, even if the entire, custom, though anything that people believe in things that they protect them is against Sharia, and we have to like amulet and anything can be hanged. It is haram, and it is like a type of shirk, associating partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you're believing that this will protect you other than Allah. And also, like some cultures, they wear if they are afraid of their kids from the evil eye, they let them wear the underwear, the t-shirt, like upside down, opposite side, and they think this is like to protect them. Or some culture, they put a baby shoes on their cars, thinking that this will protect. It's kind of shirk, partnership, associating, gods with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of them, they put the horse shoe outside the door. Also, this is another like rejected custom. So as we mentioned, anything related to the like theological customs, related to anything worshiping or protection from the evil eye, from the bad luck, all of these are haram. We have to, sincerely believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as our main protector. So, having a bracelet that it has the blue eye and we don't have intention, it's haram. It's haram. Yes, even if you don't have the intention. There are some act of worship, some act that the intention is not recognized, regardless to your intention. Let's say if I'm wearing cross, I got a bracelet, or I got something that it has a cross. So Allah, I don't, like I'm among the scholars that they saying that wearing, let's say, Barcelona's T-shirt or Real Madrid or any T-shirt that it has a cross, is haram for Muslim to wear, regardless to your intention. So the intention here is not recognized because the action itself it's haram, regardless to your intention. Yes, the same, the same. The intention is not recognized. Like some acts that you do, regardless to your intention, it is haram. Like wearing the clothes of, let's say, customs. We talk about the customs 1 second. Like Islam doesn't interfere with what you clothe, what you wear, as long as it's covering, respected. It has modesty, so it's fine. You wear whatever you. There's no specific colors to wear. There's no specific clothes to wear. But if the clothes that you are wearing are religious, let's say how the priests are dressing in the church. If I come to the masjid here wearing this, it's haram. Even if I'm saying, I'm giving khutbah, I want to show the people the harmony between us and the other faith, it's haram. It's regardless to the intention, because the appearance, it's haram, right? Yes, Amr. Habasha. Yeah. Yeah, but this is for the Muslims, like uh, hadith Aisha radiallahu anha, like when he carried her and he let her, watching them playing the Habasha. Huh? Uh, no, some hadith shurrah, they mentioned that it was like al Habasha, ayam Habasha, ayam Habasha. But this is for the Muslims as a religious festival. Then he said Allah has replaced you with two Eid, Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr. But if there is any, let's say, days for, but this most likely the what is called communal, festival. If it is religious, it has a religious matter, then it will be prohibited. It will be prohibited. I didn't go into the Eid al-Nairuz or the reason behind it, uh, but Islam doesn't interfere with the cultural festivals. Let's say if the government decide to have, or let's say the Muslim community that they celebrate, for example, end of summer, and discounts, and they play, and they have this, issues, no religious matter, nothing religiously. There's nothing to say it's haram. No, it's Eid here. It's not the Eid. Eid is coming from something that you know, i'ada. It comes once after another. It's yearly things. It's not something like you get closer to Allah through it. It's not so. Yani, when someone say birthday, or Eid Milad, it's not he's saying that I'm getting closer to Allah or I'm worshiping Allah with this. So I think Allahu A'lam is no one really have any religious intention when he celebrate, a personal. Let's say if you establish a company and you have the anniversary of your company establishment for every year. Do anyone tell you it's haram to do that? It's Eid. So you maybe you use it as a marketing. You are, showing the people that my company is succeeding, and to do it, to give discounts for marketing reasons, or for example, graduation, ceremony that usually the university they do graduation ceremony every year. Now it's not something like that they have what is called. I don't hold the opinion that to restrict on people what Sharia didn't really restrict on them. Sharia comes, yes, to stop any a pure imitation of non-Muslims when it's come to religious matters. It comes to protect from religious matter. But like you don't find a lot of ahadith, even though the community of the Prophet Muhammad SAW or the Medina was expanding, and a lot of other communities are accepting Islam. They have their culture, they have their customs. You don't see a lot of prohibition, for every community. Don't do this, do that, do that. If it's something like related to their culture. And this is what Allah Alam, I believe from the Quran and Sunnah, that there is no, prohibition. Like when it's come to what is known and common and, agreed with the people, that it's not religious, as I mentioned, not religious, not theological, that you don't think that it will get closer to Allah. It doesn't contain any haram, practices. It doesn't cause harm. Let's say they celebrate where a lot of mixing, men and women dancing. We say he tells you it's not religious, but the action itself, the practice is haram. So if there's things like normal that the haram is being, yani prevented. So Allahu Alam, it is something like, I think Allahu Alam, Shari'ah will not yani, prohibit it. Yeah. Yeah, hanging Quran in your. I follow the opinion that it's better not to hang even the Quran. But some Sahaba they accept. So it is يعني there's flexibility with the Quran only. The Quran, hanging Quran. Ibn Abbas mentioned that they used to hang the Quran on the neck, around the neck, or the kids. Uh, so the Quran is the word of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. But using specific surahs, believing that this surah it has to be recited in specific time or specific places where the Prophet didn't mention this, it might be innovation. Like when you specify, do you understand the concept? Yani, for example, you can recite, let's say, any verse, Ayatul Kursi, Ayatul Kursi you can write any time, right? If I tell you before you go for job interview, recite Ayatul Kursi 10 times. Now here this is like innovation. Why 10 times? And why before this? Like when you specify an act of worship, or even dhikr, or la ilaha illallah, or Allahu Akbar, whatever it might be, on specific circumstances without a valid evidence, then it becomes like innovation. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, good funeral. And then also, Yahya, Said Yahya, what's your question? Uh, I wanted to have two in one. Uh, during what? Close your ears. We don't want to cause any. Women, please close your ears. Okay, so first question, I will. He mentioned about funeral. A lot of things happen. Like uh, some customs, I remember, like some cultures, after someone passed away, they gather after 40 days of after his death, and some of them then 1 year. Yani, this is part of like, especially they think that they do some rituals, like they bring mawlid They bring people to sing and sing madih, and usually they cook food that he used to love. And like a lot of time I was invited, come eat this food. You know, your uncle used to love this food. So they do it on his behalf. On it's more likely to be Allahu Alam innovation. You know, innovation, because like that gathering, the reason of it, spiritual, religious. So it's better not to, you know, establish this and maintain it. Some of them they go to the graveyard. Yeah, it's like naam. After 3 days, khalas. Like they bring in sorrow. After 3 days, this is like, you know, the sorrow of passing. Only for the women when her husband, you know, passed away is 4 months and 10 days. Um, some culture that they don't get married after, let's say, someone passed away, or they don't attend weddings. They say, no, we're showing sorrow. This is, you know, it's not acceptable customs. Going to the graveyard, reading Quran, is against the Sharia. Against the Sharia. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in the hadith, don't make your houses like graveyards. Read Quran. That means graveyard are not the place where you recite Quran. It's like it's very the Prophet ﷺ says, recite your houses and don't let them be like graveyards, because the graveyard are not the place where you're supposed to recite the Quran. And this is one of the things. The Prophet never done that. He's never like went and recite Quran for the deceased, you know, Sahaba, even though he's very keen and he has the eager to bring mercy to them. He's never done that. Uh, Also, the Fatiha is a matter of, you know, like why the Fatiha you recite it. Why? How did you know it's barakah? So why don't you recite Qul huwallahu ahad? Ah, see, see, this is the thing. Like when you specify a certain surah for certain circumstances, you need a dalil, you need an evidence. If reciting Fatiha is good for the deceased, the Prophet would have taught us this. The same question, we don't say don't do it. It's a cultural issues. Like people, they give Fatiha, they use it in a way that, uh, for me, do I say, let's say it's innovation to recite Matalan Fatiha? I might say it's better to leave it because the Prophet didn't do it. Yeah, even in marriage. If it's something good, the Prophet would have done it. This is the concept. If reciting Fatiha is good to bring blessings, the Prophet would have done it. The Prophet didn't do it. Yeah, it's true. It's true. When I went to Lebanon, I used not to recite, but now I'm flexible. I'm to be honest, I don't really go against it, but I prefer not to. But I can see my relatives when I say Al Fatiha and everyone look at my hand. And then they start into argument. Why you're not then? So when they start saying Al Fatiha, I raise my hand and I make dua for him. So I avoid this conversation. Ya Rab, اغفر له وارحمه وعافيه. So no one will ask you, and then Alhamdulillah is good. Yeah, this is the dua. This is what he needs. But as I said, like, you know, Fatiha is a great surah in the Quran. If someone believes that it's part of the Quran, I'm just, you know, hoping that it will give barakah. So inshallah, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, if you look at, that's why I have flexibility with. It's fine. It's fine. Going back to Yahya's question, please, sister, don't listen. Yes, it is in accordance to the urf. Like this is like a lot of ulama. They're saying, does the wife have the obligation to serve the husband in the house? some ulama they're saying no, it is not an obligation because you didn't marry her, for this. You didn't marry her to the service or to serving or to serve you in the house. Some of them they return it back with this is the what I follow to the urf. If the customs when you where you get married is actually known that the wife is the one who take care of the house, then she will take care of the house. If you married in a place where the husband is the one who cooks and clean up the, the house, you have to follow this. No, there is here, Habibi. Inshallah, when you get married here, we will teach you how to cook, how to clean up. We'll give you a course, inshallah. But it depends on the custom. Custom here plays a critical role because Sharia looks at the marriage as you provide and she take care of you personally. It's not like the cleaning uh, of the house. But anyways, like as I mentioned earlier, if you marry someone in an environment where actually the husband provides a maid, so it is already you enter this marriage in that certain place. You have to, if you cannot provide or if you don't want to, you have to make it clear to the wife because she's marrying you with the intention that you are bringing a maid. And when you marry her, say yalla cook. She said la ya habibi, my mom doesn't cook, my auntie doesn't, no one will cook. You get a maid. So the cultures and customs play a very, very important role. Mm, mm. Wedding. Yeah, yeah, good job. Good question. It's about, different cultures. Some of them, it's not, writing the contract is not part of what makes it halal or the verbal approval and proposal and approval. This is what, make the marriage. So if, and with the witnesses. So if you propose to her father and she accepts you and the father, accept the marriage and he tells you, "Zawajtuka mathalan my daughter," and then said, "I do accept the witnesses." This is a valid Islamic marriage. Uh, some cultures, what they do is they have the Islamic marriage contract and then they wait until the wedding. So they can, let's say, Islamically, they are considering a husband and wife. But because of the culture, they say you're supposed not to like have any intimacy or anything until the wedding. As a husband, you have to stick to these conditions. It's not permissible for you to not stick to that customs because it's like you marry her and you say, let's say the wedding will be after 2 months, and you are agreeing on the condition that you say, I'm not going to approach her until the wedding. The wedding. Like here is different. Here is different. Like usually some of them they have the marriage contract. The following day they do the wedding. Some of them they have the marriage contract and they said, "Khalas, they're considering marriage." So they just delay, know each other. They go out and all of that until they get married. The wedding is optional, yes, but the customs here plays a role, play an important role. Mandatory. It become mandatory. Uh, this up to them. But if you marry someone where the custom that she's expecting to have a wedding, and then if you tell her from the beginning, I don't want to do a wedding, she might tell you, I don't want to marry you. But you say, okay, I'll do a wedding after you marry her. You say, wedding is optional. Excuse me. Yeah, wedding is like to celebrate ceremony. Yeah, it's not a condition, but it's like to make it more public and to celebrate. Optional, yes. Yes, based on customs. It's like as a condition. Okay. Last question, Karim. Yeah. Yeah, so we're talking about the roles of, is it like, yes, like did the prophet do it as a mandatory, like he used to help, and he used to do what, a husband does in the house, like, helping with kana yakhitu thawba. He used to so what's called, uh, stitch his garment, and wash sometimes, and stitches his shoes. So he used to do things at home. But we're talking about what is mandatory. Is it like mandatory on the wife to do that, or it's optional? Uh, I follow the opinion, wallahu alam, that the customs is what play, but it doesn't mean that the husband will, it is always to follow the steps, the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to help and to be, show kindness and support. Yes. Yeah, but we put a lot of conditions. We said as long as the customs doesn't opposite the Sharia. So not every customs are acceptable. So we said the custom that go along with Sharia, that they don't have any shirkiyat, any innovations, any theological beliefs. They don't have any oppression, injustice. All of this, like whatever goes against Sharia will not be recognized as a valid custom. The only custom that are accepted are those, yeah, that they goes with the goals of the Sharia. Custom that bring harmony, bring love, bring unity, justice to the community. So that was Islam, when it came, refused this customs where the women used to be neglected during the menstruation cycle. The Islam goes against it, and the Prophet ﷺ, in a lot of ahadith, his wives mentioned that no, he used to get closer to us during this period. If he choose what? I- so it depends, as I mentioned, on the customs where you live, and how, like, if let's say here in America, it's not, we don't have any very common custom when it's come to this. But that is why it's important to have this discussion with, let's say, the husband. Are you expecting me to cook and clean, and serve you at home or not? So you have to discuss this, and you have to make an agreement on this regard. Say, I can help, I need your help, but it's not, something, uh, that I will do, for example. Also, if she's working, and then the customs, like where women are working in according to Sharia, right? So this is the thing, you have to know if she works in a place that has a lot of mixing, haram place is serving, and you should not say the customer, I'm working, I have to stick to this job, all right? But let's say she works in respectable place that it's not haram place, it's halal income, and he marry her while she is working. He cannot tell her to stop working after marriage, because he married her with that condition. As this is the custom, she's working. So if he doesn't want her to work, he has to clearly mention at the beginning, I don't want you to work. So these things, like, it shows what is mandatory, what is halal, what is haram to enforce after marriage. طيب جزاكم الله خيرا بارك الله فيكم. Inshallah, next class will be, by the way, this Sunday we have the part 2 of Sahabi Abdurrahman ibn Auf with Sheikh Omar Khan. The last Sunday we have a very great session. He was talking about Abdurrahman ibn Auf, one of the Sahaba that, the promised Sahaba of Jannah. And Omar Khan is specialized in Islamic finance. Abdurrahman Auf, as you know, is a wealthy businessman. It's a good combination. And are you aware of Dr. Hassan Alwan series? Yeah, we started on every Tuesday for 6 Tuesdays with Dr. Hassan Alwan. He's talking about the Mongol invasion. It's actually a historical series after the Salat al-Isha, 7:30. This Sunday, 7:30, Abdurrahman ibn Auf. Tuesday, 7:30, inshallah, Dr. Hassan Alwan, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. If you can help us with the chairs, Jazakumullah khairan.